All right. Today we're joined by Helen Kourous Harrigan. Helen, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Helen Kourous Harrigan. I probably known as Helen Kourous when I first came. I'm from Toledo, Ohio, and that is probably from whence I first came to Buckeye. And I believe it was 1987. It was either 86 or 87. Um, and then I tell people the number of years I've attended is not, you can't just subtract 2020 from that because it was very sporadic. I think I attended 2 years in a row, then went off to college, then went off to Chicago, then went off to Cleveland. And it was almost like every 2 or 3 years I would be able to squeeze it back into my life. So I've probably been there a total of 11 times. I'll just say that. I don't have the records to show it. Somewhere since 1987-ish. Um, and who brought you to BLW? Of course, when I first went, it was BRW, right? Buckeye Recreation Workshop, and it was at Pilgrim Hills. And it must have been Chuck Worth and Edith, then Richmond, who I was working with on a children's camp named Super Camp, who said, "You have got to go to Buckeye." And I had no idea what it was. And they figured out, and the only reason I could go is because they figured out the R. Bruce Tom scholarship stuff. And then also Super Camp sponsored me. I was, working at Friendly's making $2 an hour. So that enabled me to go. And then it was, I would find a way to go after that, right? Uh, I would save up for it no matter what after that. My favorite song to sing at Song Circle, I think it was sort of a late. It wasn't one of the original BRW songs, but it has become very traditional, and it's "Family, We Are Family." Um, I just love the energy that just wells up from the middle of that song. And if I could describe BLW with one word, it's it, it's really hard to do one word. Um, and this might be weird, but one of the things I really like about it is it's intergenerational.
Nice. So, since you've been coming on and off for a while now, do you have a favorite memory, session, or activity from BLW?
Okay, so one of the first, if not the first year that I went, it was at Pilgrim Hills. And those of you who have heard the stories or went to Pilgrim Hills yourselves will know the story of the hot water. And as is usual, I think on the first evening, it must have been my first year because it made such a huge impact on me. And I don't remember who else sang this song or did this skit, but I remember it was starring Karen Saker. And there was a skit set to music. It was very Broadway-esque about short showers. And they had put it to words, and there was verses, and I don't remember all the words and verses. I just remember short showers and all the feeling and hamminess that went with that. And I was just kind of, this is awesome. And of course, it reminded me to take short showers, but it was just so fun. It was just everybody letting loose their silliness and just being goofy and silly and letting down their hair. And it was just a really great opener. It really brought down the walls and the fear. For some reason, that skit I had a big impact on me. It must have been that same year that Elizabeth Ellis was a guest and did a storytelling session. And I don't think I had ever sat in rapt attention with the lights out and a single light on the stage while you could hear a pin drop while she told the story of the red shoes. And I sat there cross-legged on the hard linoleum floor with tears streaming down my face and didn't even care. The story moved me so much. And it was, I grew up going to the library book groups and having stories like that, but this was just such a different way of storytelling. I was just in love with it and enraptured with it all at once. And it was just a very memorable experience.
Awesome. So, talking about some of these people, is there somebody that you met at BLW that made a lasting impact on your life?
So there are many. There's a few that stand out when you met them. You remember the moment they remember the moment that you met them. And some of those people are people like Bill Alkire, and Karen Saker. Those were kind of in my early formative BRW years. But then when I came back after a fairly long hiatus of probably 6 or 7 years of going away and living in probably Cleveland, that was when I was in Cleveland. This was in the mid to late 90s. And again, I can't put my finger on it, but there was this incredibly vivacious, bouncy blur of a woman named Susan Fowler, who was in my dorm and who bounced all over the place with a notebook in her hand. And I remember encountering her, brushing our teeth, and we brushed our teeth and talked about evening program and enthused about morning excitement the next day. And she was writing stuff down in her notebook. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what was so memorable about us just brushing our teeth. But at the end of Buckeye, she had taken her experiences and drawn this incredible, she was very artistic, and she drew this incredible, very dense piece of art with a little dash line through it, detailing and drawing little cartoon encounters that she had along the way. And somewhere in there was like, talked about the meaning of life with Helen while we brushed our teeth, showed up in that little bubble. And she had drawn little butterflies and rainbows and clouds and peace signs. And, and she gave everybody a copy of that, at the end of Buckeye. And so I still have that. And, her joy in life and her vivaciousness just made a big, big impact on me.
Awesome. So do you have any closing comments for everybody?
Closing comments for everybody. A couple of those times that I went to Buckeye, so I was able to bring some people with me, as many of us have, right? One time my husband came with me like a couple times, probably in the 90s. My stepdaughter came with us one time, and it really made a big impact on her. And she thanked me for it. And I still have the thank you note for that. And she's no longer with us, but it makes me really glad that she was able to go. And then I was so excited when my daughter Elizabeth was old enough to go that she's come now for 2 years. Well, one of the things that my husband Denny said after we came home from Buckeye, he said, this is how human beings can live with each other. This is a culture that exemplifies how people can live together, and we don't see it around us. So it's very inspiring to be able to carry Buckeye within us and try to, instead of keeping Buckeye in a little bubble that we can only visit once a year, we need to think of it as a way that human beings can live with each other and spread it outwards. So that's how I like to think of it.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Helen.
I didn't get to do that at the beginning.